What's poppin', T Squad? It's your girl Keisha, and I'm here with tonight's review of Own's Put a Ring on It Season 3, Episode 3 review. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight for my interview with Ashley Brittany Silva. She is a reality star from the upcoming spinoff Love and Marriage DC. The interview was so good. Make sure you check it out because she drops a lot of tea and prepares us for the brand new season of Love and Marriage DC. Now, next Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time, I will also be interviewing Love and Marriage DC couple Jamie and Irena Tyler. The interview was so good. They're such lovely people. I learned so much about them. I'm so excited now to see them on the actual show. So make sure you guys tune in next Friday, 6 p.m. Central Time for my interview with Jamie and Irena Tyler. Now let's get into my review. So we pick up exactly where we left off on last week's episode with Shay feeling like Fonzo was just too excited for his date that day and how it made her feel and her acting out and this, that, and the third. And you know, on last week's episode review, I told you all I felt like she acted a complete and utter fool when he went on his date with that girl. Dr. Nicole asks about Kenneth's date. And he admits that he wasn't fully into it. His head wasn't there because he and Shorty had gotten into an argument. And I wish she would have asked what the argument was about. I don't know if they cut this part out, but I wish that when they kept on referencing this argument and this fight that they were in, that it would have been, displayed to Dr. Nicole and everyone else what Kenneth had done and how Shorty had reacted, because that was a huge piece that was missing from the whole dating experience. So then we go to Otis, and he says that, his date with old girl was cool, but, he wasn't really feeling her like that. I mean, we all saw it from his body language. He says, however, that when it comes to him and Sharlana's relationship, that he doesn't like the 50-50 control. He does not like that at all. All of the guys end up saying no to second dates. But Dr. Nicole lets it be known that the following week, everyone will be going on dates except for Fonzo and Shay, because she wants to have a one-on-one counseling session with them. Shay says, however, moving forward, she's not going to make it easy for another girl to take her spot when it comes to him. And I was like, girl, you don't even understand. You would be doing yourself a huge favor if you did allow somebody else to take your spot. Because I'm still trying to figure out what it is about this man that you are so infatuated and in love with and that you want so bad, because you look like a fool. So Kenneth and Otis have their dates. This girl named Asia picks Kenneth up for her date, and she picks him up in one of those little sling-back cars, and he in the house with Shorty dressed like a manager at Rent-A-Center. I don't understand why this man always got on a polo shirt, khaki pants, and a belt. Like, oh my God, he is so lame. Like, you could tell he ain't got no money. Like, he getting all of his clothes from Macy's, or better yet, Walmart. Like, what is going on with this man's look? So come to find out, Asia and Shorty actually know each other. Asia is her former intern at the radio station. So it's kind of like awkward, for Shorty, because she knows this girl, and now this girl is going on a date with her man. And when they sit down before the date, Asia makes a comment where she says, I don't know if it's a thing where may the best woman win. And, that kind of put Shorty on pause. Like, what the fuck you mean by that? She was like, what, you trying to like one up me, prove something? I would have felt some type of way too, considering I know you and we used to work together, and now you dating my man, and like, what you mean? But once again, let her win, because we all know you over there dealing with a whole sociopath. So girl, let her win so he can start stalking her. And then she can realize she ain't got no damn prize. Let her have him, child. I would have said, you can have him. Take him with you now. So They go out on their date and they both realize that they're both Geminis. And I was like, that explains another layer to Kenneth. He's fucking crazy. He don't know who the fuck he is. He don't know if he's good or bad from today or tomorrow. This man is confused. So she asks, what is his flaws? And this Negro says his biggest flaw is that he has a big heart. I was like, girl, wait till you see this shit and you realize that nigga lied, because we all know his biggest flaw is that he's fucking crazy, he's obsessive, and he's a stalker and a manipulator and mentally abuses women. So yeah, it's not that you have a big heart, you're a fucking psychopath. So she says that he seems like the perfect catch to her. And I was like, girl, you don't even realize that you have caught a fucking shark. He is going to eat you alive with them teeth and with his behavior. So then Otis heads out to his date at a horse stable. He's going to go horseback riding, and he meets his date, and it's a girl named Milan. She's really pretty, naturally pretty, doesn't have on any makeup. Caramel skin, light skin or whatever, dimple. She had a little regular basic 8-inch ponytail that kind of disturbed me, but okay, we gonna let her live. So they start riding horses, and they both realize that they are both from DeKalb, Atlanta, and that they both went to the same high school. So they sit down after horseback riding to have champagne and some fruit or whatever. And she kind of favors Charlana just a little bit. They remind me of each other. So I figured that he would be attracted to her. And she seems like the quiet kind of like, girl next door, meek type of personality. So I could tell that he was kind of attracted to her, but Otis is one of them dudes where he think he the shit, so he don't give you much to leave you on your toes, so you will never really know where his mind is at. He's one of those men who craves mind control over women. He is so whack, girl, with his LeBron James hairline. So she then invites him to her show because she's a DJ that night. But he was like, nah, because, he don't want no issues at home. But he also says that he may want to see her again. And I was like, I figured that much, child. So Dr. Nicole visits Fonzo and Shay at their home. And she tells a story about how Alfonso, some girl had posted a picture of her and Alfonso together and captioned it that he was the love of her life. And then one day when they were in the car together, the same girl ended up calling his phone. Now, he admits that he previously dated the girl. Now, I mean, everything about Alfonso just reads caution. Like, girl, I always say, y'all, don't you date no nigga with no beard, no chocolate man with no beard. You are just begging for a world of trouble. Don't date no nigga that do poems, that do spoken words. Don't date no nigga that be wearing them beads and shit around their wrists and their neck. They are going to fuck you over. So he says that he was messing with other women when they first started dating, and that Shay is like still holding on to that even now today. And I'm like, she ain't just holding on to that because of when y'all was first talking. You probably was doing some shit where you was telling her that, you really digging her, you ain't fucking with nobody else, and you knew that you were, and she found out about it, and that's what caused problems. You probably started offline. And I know somebody personally that actually knows him, so I got a bit of tea on him today, and that nigga ain't shit. Child, he is not shit. So Dr. Nicole says, that it goes back to boundaries, and she says, where do you take responsibility in all of that? And Alfonso says, I'm too friendly, and then he gonna work on it. Nigga, all that too friendly bullshit is just that bullshit. Niggas say that shit so they can get away with their horrible behavior. And she even says that he uses that as an excuse to basically do whatever the fuck you want to do, and use that as a creative way to get around still being able to talk to other women. And she says that she doesn't want him communicating with other women outside of business. And I'm like, girl, the trust is not there. It's been broken from day one. It cannot be salvaged because A, Shay is way too insecure, and B, he is a liar and he play games. So just leave the whole entire situation the fuck alone. You are taking yourself from hell and back trying to make this thing be something that it is clearly not. let that man go ahead and do whatever the hell he trying to do and go on with your life. Like, she is a pretty girl. Like, she need to work on herself. That's what you need to be working on instead of this damn fuck ass relationship. So he says once again that he don't know what to do about the whole situation because people be doing dumb stuff. No, nigga, you be doing dumb stuff. Like, he acts like a fucking 5-year-old. He's stupid. Like, huh? I don't even see what she sees in him. So Charlana has her date, and before she goes out on her date, her and Otis are in the kitchen, and he's doing that passive aggressive shit that he likes to do, and she asks him about how his date was. And one thing that I learned when I interviewed the Tylers from Love and Marriage DC is that the producers tell them to not talk about their outings with like other cast members, so when they talk about it on the show, it can be authentic. And I've always wondered, like, when people be filming these reality shows, they go home and they tell them what happened, and then they gotta replay it, re-talk about it on camera. So now I've learned that they tell them, do not talk about what happened when you filmed prior, because we're gonna ask you about it on camera, and we want it to be, authentic and fresh. So she asks about his date, and he says, it was too short. And when he said that, you see her body physically tense. And she's triggered by him saying that his date with this girl was too short. And you know that that's a dig, that is hurtful for him to say some shit like that to her. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was trying to hurt her so she could have a fucking sucky ass date. He is a manipulative bastard. Like, he is the worst. And so he's real evasive about the details of their date. He just says that, he went horseback riding and he enjoyed it, but he really not telling her nothing else. So, he then says in his confessional that Charlana will be mad if he tells her all the details about the date and that she'll go from 0 to 100. I would rather for you to be honest with her than to only give her bits and pieces to put her on edge. And once again, you're doing that shit where you emotionally manipulate her and place mind control over her so she won't behave a certain way. So it's like later on in the episode when she says he punishes her, which is exactly what he's doing right now. I'm only going to give you a little tidbit of what happened on my date, so then you can go on your date and be fucked up in the head wondering, do I like another girl? Then that way you're distracted from your date, and then while you're on your date, that'll put you in your place to not go too far, aka accepting the flowers from another man. And so you won't make me mad, and then if you don't make me mad or upset, then maybe I won't leave you. Girl, girl, Charlotta called me so I could tell you what to do when it come to this fucking hair club for men looking ass nigga. So, she's clearly upset because, he is being evasive. He's not telling her what happened on the date. And then her date, Brent, arrives. And he's an alright looking dude, bald head, chocolate. His teeth was kind of fucked up. But he's dressed like Professor Ogilvy. I personally didn't think that she was going to like him. And I didn't think that Otis would be jealous or intimidated. But he actually was. When he opened the door for dude, he said in his confessional, that he was put together, a very different type of dude than who her last date was with. So, he introduces her as my Charlana and telling him to be on his best behavior. And I was like, oh, it's a big difference from the last date. Like, he literally was intimidated by this dude, and with good cause. So they leave and go on their date, and she says that she finds Brent attractive, and I was shocked by that. She says that he's very sweet. They sit down after doing their little pasta class and they're eating their food, and he tells her that he wants to run for Congress. She has never dated a politician, but she's very interested in him. And then she asks him what he feels about submission, and he said, he doesn't like that word. He don't want no woman that gotta feel like she a slave, or all that type of shit. And that really piqued her interest because Otis never looks at it that way, and it was refreshing for her to meet a man that actually thought about that word the same way that she thought about it. And I was like, hopefully that made you realize that this nigga over here is full of shit. He is full of shit. Like, I do not like him. And I think why I don't like him even more is because he think he is the shit. He think he is like the bee's knees. This nigga think he Christopher Williams or some shit. I'm like, nigga, half of the top of your head of your hair is not there. How dare you walk around like you King Tut or somebody? Nigga, what? Nigga, you need to have on a hair at all times. You need a hot oil treatment, my nigga. Shut the, ooh, Jesus. So Shorty goes on another date with Hollywood. And you know, she is so into Hollywood. She just finds him to be the bee's knees. Hollywood asks her, you know, y'all been together for 3 years. Do you ever think that that's too long? And she was like, I done tried to break up with this man several times and it didn't work. So she tells him about one of the times when she broke up with Kenneth, that she moved and got her own place, and that he waited outside her job and followed her home to find out where she was living. And that some of her friends was like, girl, he crazy, you need to leave him alone. And then some of her other friends was like, girl, hell, when I left, my man didn't even try to come find me. The look on Hollywood face was looking like, what? Like, you putting up with this type of shit? Like, huh? You could tell he was turned off by that. And he even said out his mouth that, you know, that's crazy. And he does this analogy about, you know, dogs and all of this shit. And that Kenneth hasn't learned his lesson because she hasn't put her foot down when it comes to him. And I was like, somebody need to tell her dumb ass, because I wouldn't even feel comfortable telling nobody no stupid shit like that. And you still with this man? Like, that is crazy. He is crazy. That is not normal behavior. That is not sexy. That is scary. So once again, she hella into him and telling him how adorable he is, just a blushing and a cheesing and all that, and he's soaking it up or whatever. I personally don't think that Hollywood is that interested in her. I think he's there at this point for the camera time and to like give her like some brotherly advice. I feel like it's more of a brother-sister thing for him than it is for her. So then all the couples meet with Dr. Nicole, and when she asks Otis about his date with Milan, he admits that she was attractive. And of course, Charlana is perturbed by this. Once again, her whole mood and behavior shifts. And she says that, you know, in the beginning of this process, he established rules that they would discuss their dates, but he isn't doing that. He says that it was something that they both agreed upon and this, that. She says her first date, she didn't say enough, and that got her scolded. The fact that you even use the word scolded from somebody that's supposed to be your partner is just crazy. So Dr. Nicole asks him how he feels about that. And he says that he doesn't know, because there's times when he hasn't scolded her, but she still felt that way. So when are they going to deal with that? He basically says he didn't know. Like, he says he didn't know, like, that's something that he didn't even know she felt that way. Like, he didn't even know that she felt like he did that to her. But then in the second half, he says, but there are times when he hasn't scolded her and she still felt that way. So he admitted right then and there that he does scold her. Like, he's so dumb that he slipped up. So, and then talking about some when we gonna deal with basically her feelings and drumming up shit that he doesn't feel like is something that's valid. So then they begin to argue back and forth, and Dr. Nicole was like, you know, we can't deal with that with her when it's something that's coming from you. Oh, he gets an attitude because you can't tell Otis nothing. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. Like, Otis is pig-headed. He think he know everything. He seemed like he is like one of them people where fuck treatment, fuck a psychologist. I know what I know. I feel what I feel, and can't nobody tell me different. He telling some sure, okay, that's fine. Nigga, she telling your ass the truth. Like, why the fuck are you here? And why are you with him? I want to know the age difference between them, because it's obvious that there has to be some type of an age difference. So Dr. Nicole says, you know, you said there are times where you haven't scolded her and she still felt that way. So that means there are times when you have scolded her. That's a fact. That's not a feeling. Ooh, yes, ma'am. Then she said there is something happening in your communication that is giving her the experience of being a child that needs to be corrected. Otis in his confessional says that is so far from the truth. I think Charlana feels it's scolding when she doesn't hear what she wants to hear. And then after all of that speech that Dr. Nicole gives him, he was like, okay, but once again negating what somebody is telling him, because he already has it in his mind what is his truth and what is real. And he says that that is definitely not the case. Basically, that everything is on Charlana and it's all in her head and he doesn't do these things. Boy, I could kick him in his back. Oh, Jesus Christ. I do not like these people. All of them need to break up, Jesus. All of them need to break up, and all of them need to go to counseling. Thank you and goodbye. Let me know what y'all thought about tonight's episode of Put a Ring on It. It was another doozy. Next week, Shay gonna get into it with Fonzo date. It's about to be a mess. I'm not even mentally prepared for the foolishness. Let me know what you guys thought about tonight's episode down below in the comment section. Make sure to thumbs up this video, like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell button. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.